Hello. I know that it's been a while. I've been working a lot lately. There's not much time in between my job as a welder and we've been door dashing in the evenings to make a little extra money. So I've been doing a lot lately. So I thought I'd just get a video off while I'm driving home. It's highway, so I shouldn't be in too much traffic, but I will stop the video periodically if something comes up, because I want to focus on driving. But again, sorry for the funky camera angle and everything. It's the best I can do. Something's been on my mind lately, and I wanted to try getting it in video form. You know I'm not the best speaker, especially after a 10-hour shift today. It was a decent day. Nothing really bad happened. Had to deal with some people a little more roughly than I wanted to, but that was the worst of it, so I'm pretty lucky today. About 2 or 3 months ago, I had a speaking gig for I think it was 3 classes of students, and it was mainly talking like a career day thing. And I was the only blue-collar manual labor worker there, and they wanted me to kind of, well, the staff wanted me to give a perspective of a tradesman, and I don't think I did very well, so maybe I can try to fix that now. Essentially, I was supposed to give, not really sure what they wanted, but what I gave was less than what I would hope to in quality. So here goes nothing. I started my professional career when I was 18. Little company called Mid-State Manufacturing out in Galesburg, Illinois. I moved from there to Caterpillar in Peoria. Then during COVID, I got laid off from Peoria, and I bounced around. I did FedEx. As a package handler, I moved to, from FedEx, I went to landscaping because it was one of the only other jobs that was open for me. I made like no money, but I loved the work, so it was all worked out. Then after landscaping, I went over to Matcor in Morton, Illinois, where I welded for probably about a year. I don't think I'm missing anything. I welded for probably about a year, and then I made it to BTD in Washington as a manufacturing engineer, or manufacturing engineer's assistant, but the difference between the two positions was very small in that shop. I didn't mind the work, but I knew it wasn't for me, and between that and a fallout with management, we went our separate ways to where I work currently at Crest Corporation out in Brimfield. So that's my background. You know, welder, fabricator, production line welder at Caterpillar and Caterpillar and Matcor. I was a production line welder, but everything else I've been a welder fabricator. The difference between that's relatively small. The big difference is that I build everything by hand with tape measures, combinations, squares, framing squares, string lines, laser levels. I actually built the things, whereas production welding, you're making things in fixtures. You're pretty much slapping the parts in a fixture, pushing it all together, and welding from there. It's really easy. The key difference is that production line welding, I'm usually making hundreds of parts an hour, whereas fabrication, I could be building 1 tractor a month or longer, and that's the big difference. So like, it's just scale. So like when I'm building for welder fabricator, it's usually larger scale products. It's like I am building the machine, whereas production shops, you're building a part that will be sent to a facility to be made. That's the big difference. Both have their time and place, both have their positives and negatives. I'm happier as a fabricator myself, or a fabricating welder myself. I prefer that. But I know guys who would hate doing what I do right now and much prefer their production line jobs, because it's simple. You can kind of turn your brain off, listen to some music or a podcast, and just go. Whereas, I mean, I can listen to music. I'm given the luxury of listening to music at my current job, but there are times I have to turn the music off, sit down, and just think about my next move, and just really think out what I do, which is not the case in a production line shop where you've made 300 of the same part already. It's instinct at that point. It's bang, bang, bang. You get into that flow state and really can kind of just zone out for 8 to 12 hours, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just personally prefer fabrication welding. But as far as the other trades, I mean, you've got everything from electricians to Boilermakers to pipe fitters. I mean, if you like doing something, like say you like woodworking, there's a trade for that. You like anything with your hands, there is a trade for that. Even if you just like sorting and like sorting through stuff, there is some job in a factory where you sort stuff all day, every day. I guarantee it. Now, it might not be the easiest job to find, and it may not be the most well-paying job to find, or once you find it, but there is a job out there where you just sort shit every day. I am sure of it. Our warehouse workers, where I work currently, they're sorting through parts. They're moving parts around. I mean, if you like just driving, go into work as a trucker. I mean, you drive all day, every day. That's all you do. I mean, you're going to have to unload every now and again. Learn the tricks of the trade, thump your tires. But if you like to do something, there is a trade that is similar. I guarantee it. And if there's not, there's something you'd be happy to do. That being said, trades are tough. Like, you know, you gotta work. You gotta be willing to work, because if you're not willing to work and layoffs come, your bosses are gonna remember that, you know. Now, unions, you won't have to worry about that as much. I'm not currently union. I don't have an issue with unions, but I mean, I've worked union jobs. Caterpillar was union. That's not the type of facility I work at currently. And beyond that, I don't have any opinions, really. But I know people who love the unions. I know people who hate the unions. I feel it doesn't matter to me whether I'm union or not. Please don't give me hate for that in the comments if you are pro-union. I mean, good for you. I really hope you find your way in life, because that's all we're all trying to do, is just find our way, pay our bills, and hopefully retire one day if we get lucky. But back to the topic at hand. If you're a high schooler right now and you're debating going to college or the trades, and you're in between the two, if you have the money, try college, see if it works. If it doesn't, don't waste your money, drop out. But just make sure before you drop out that you have a job lined up. You have a plan. Don't drop out and just live at your parents' house. That's not a good idea. That's not going to work for the long term. Drop out and be like, I'm going to go work at this factory. See where that takes me. You might work at the factory for a week and be like, nope, I'm going back to school the following year and finishing up that degree I started. It wouldn't have worked for me. I'm not good with school. That being said, when I got into the trades, I had a school period where I was apprenticing. I knew nothing, and they kicked the shit out of me. Like, I couldn't read a tape at first. I didn't know how to use a combination square hardly at all. String line, fucking never even seen one before. Plumb bobs, sounds like something from Bob the Builder. I wouldn't have known anything about that. So I got my ass handed to me for like 5 years before I felt like there wasn't nothing they could throw at me I wouldn't already have known. And even today, there's shit they throw at me and I'm like, what the fuck? How was I supposed to know that, you know? But it's part of growing. So if you leave high school and you go straight into a trade, expect to get your ass handed to you for a year or two. Expect to learn the hard way, because that's the only way you learn. in the trades is the hard way. People will try to set you up, try to help you, but you're gonna fuck shit up. You're gonna get in trouble. You might even lose a job, but you gotta keep going. You can't just, oh my God, that was so hard. That weld is too hard for me to make. It's overhead, but slightly vertical. It's at like a 45 degrees and the wire's just falling out and I'm getting burned the whole time. And I fucked up plenty of welds like that. And I gouged them all out and I ground them down and I got them back to the normal joint and I re-welded it and I fucked it up again and I cut it back out and I ground it down and I got it back to the normal joint, and it took me days to get right. A weld that took my partner at the time, the guy who was training me, about 10 minutes to do, took me days. But it's that type of work, it's that type of learning that's going to make you a good tradesman. So you got to be willing to put in the work. You can't just come in for an 8-hour day when everyone else is doing 12s and expect to get as good as them. If everyone else is doing 12s, you need to be doing 12s. If everyone else is doing 10s, you need to be doing 10s. You know, it's one of those things that the trade-off for college, the trade-off for not going to college is that you have to work twice as hard at something that a lot of people don't think is that hard to begin with. You know, I've been completely dismissed by people when I tell them I'm a tradesman. When I tell them I'm a welder, they're like, oh, okay, whatever. And then, you know, some people look at the trades and like, oh, they're just dirty middle class, low middle class guys. And it sucks to be that way, but I don't let it bother me. I got family that don't really value what I do or don't think what I do is not really sure how to say that. I got family that don't respect the work I do as being challenging and difficult. They think they think I copped out after high school. And whatever. Maybe I did. I didn't go to college. I did like a semester at a trade school, which I dropped out of because I realized that I was already surpassing what that trade school could offer me, so I needed to go into the workforce and learn the hard way what the workforce was going to teach me. So that decision didn't come lightly, but it did come, and it was the right choice. I will stand by that choice. But that may not be the choice. You might have to go to 4 years of trade school, get out, and then do 4 years of hard learning on the job. You know, it's not the easier road, but it is, for me, been very successful. I bought my own house when I was 20. I got married when I was 23. Oh my God, I've been married for 3 years. I got married when I was 23. I've been financially independent since I was 18. Call it 19. Because my dad was paying my phone for a couple years there. Call it 19. I was financially independent at 19. You know, some of these dates might not be right, but you get the gist. I'm 26 and I'm financially independent. I have owned a home for a couple years. I've been married for a handful of years. Me and my wife own 2 cars. It's a comfortable living. You know, you're never going to make $1 million doing this. I'm not hoping to. But I have a nice house, a beautiful wife, lovely family, with our 4 dogs, 2 cats, and soon to be chickens. Yeah, we're gonna get 4 chickens. That's gonna be an interesting one. But you're gonna have to put in the work. You're gonna have to be tired. That's just part of it. I drink too much coffee. Doctor says I need to slow down. I've gone from 3 cups a day to 2. I don't know if that's that much better, but I don't put any cream or sugar in my coffee, so at least I'm not getting fat from it. But I like my life and I like my job, even though it sucks a lot. There's a lot of times that my job just sucks and it's a slug and it's horrible. And there's days I come home and I just cry because of how bad the that day's work was. But I cry, I get it out of my system, I move the fuck on. Because you can't let it beat you down. Because if you start getting beaten down, then eventually you'll stop showing up to work. And then eventually you'll get fired. And then eventually you'll have to have that coming to Jesus moment of what am I going to do now? You know, there's bills to pay. And I got to get back on my feet. So you got to keep your head up. So this life is not the easiest. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. My sister, I love her, but I don't think she'd be able to do what I do every day and keep her head up. You know, it would probably get to her. She's a music teacher. She's doing really good at that. And I think that's what she needs to be doing. I think that's what God had in store for her. So I hope she does well. But you get the gist. This type of work is, if you're just looking to get into the trades, take a day, like a weekend. If you're a kid, take a weekend and go do some manual labor somewhere. Go volunteer at like a park or something. Do some manual labor for a full day in the heat or the cold, and see if that's what you want your life to be like for the rest of your life. Because it is not an easy choice to say, you know what, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to put my chips in the trade, and I'm going to see if this pans out. For me, it has. And for a lot of you, I think it will. College is not the answer for everyone. But the trades aren't the answer for everyone either. In the world today, it's difficult to say what's going to make you money and what's going to be your livelihood. Things are changing. You know, there's a lot of at-home jobs now, which that wasn't that way when we were kids. So I don't know what all that looks like. I don't work on a computer. I think I look at a computer 3 times a day at work, and that's when I clock in, because we clock in on a computer. When I look up a blueprint once or twice a day, I'll use the computer, but most of the time that's paper. And then when I clock out at the end of the day. So I'm never on a computer at work. My daily life consists of wake up at 3 a.m. I let the dogs out. I feed the dogs most days. Some days, like today, my wife feeds the dog. Then I hop in the car. I drive to work. I'm at work at 5. Work starts at 5, that is. I go in, I start work at 5. I don't get a break until 9 o'clock. Then 9 o'clock we get a 20-minute break, coffee break. I eat breakfast at that point. I don't always eat breakfast before work. I'll eat breakfast at 9. Then we work until 12, where we get a 30-minute lunch break. 12 to 12:30, I'm eating lunch. I usually have a ham and cheese sandwich, some chips, or lately it's been almonds. I'm trying to eat better. Excuse me. Then we work from 12:30 to 3:30. And 3:30 is when I get off when I'm running a 10-hour day. If I'm running a 12-hour day, I get off at 5:30 because they don't pay us for the 30-minute lunch. But they pay us for the 20-minute break, which is better than some companies. So then I drive home. I usually get home around 4:15, 4:30. And then I have the rest of the day to myself. Me and my wife. Usually eat dinner anywhere from 6 to 8. Go to bed at about 8 or 9 to get up at 3:30 again the next day. So that's kind of my standard. That's my preferred schedule. I worked second shift, and what second shift looked like was I'd get up at 9 a.m. Then I would go into work at 3 or 3:30. And then I wouldn't get off until 10 or 11. And then I would go straight to bed at 10 or 11 so I could wake up at 9 and get some stuff around the house done. The thing with second shift is when you get off, all the stores are closed, so you can't go shopping after work. You have to go shopping before. So if you need groceries, you got to go to the store before. If you need to drop your laundry off at a cleaner's, you need to go before. If you need to do anything amongst real people, you got to do that before you go to work, which kind of sucks. So like my doctor's appointments were before work. And just to tell you about third shift, I don't like third shift. I actually loathe third shift. I've quit jobs because they put me on third. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I stop thinking right. So third shift doesn't work for me. But from the guys I know, how third shift would go is they'd wake up at 6 in the evening, 6 p.m. They'd be at work at about 9 or 10, and then they would get off work and drive home probably about 6 or 7 in the morning, and then they would go home and sleep immediately. So all of their human stuff, all of the stuff they do, all the stuff like shopping, dry cleaning, all that shit happens before they go to work at 6 o'clock, or 6 to 8 o'clock. They'll do all their normal stuff. That is not a life I can handle. That is not a life I want. That being said, if you have a family and you're forced to pick between second and third, you're going to have to do third. Otherwise, you'll never see your family. They will be off school while you're at work. They will be getting off work while you're at work. You will be asleep before they go to work and school. It's not a family shift. Second shift is more for bachelors and young people. At least in my experience, there were some like 50-year-old dudes who had been on second shift for like 3 decades. Of course, for them it worked, but in my experience, those are the generalizations around the shifts. Third shift and first shift are for family men. Second shift are for the younger guys. It's kind of what I've understood, at least. How do I put this? Anyway, to sum it up, I know this has been a stream of consciousness, and I'm sorry, but I wanted to get a video out for a while, and I just wanted to see what I could talk about with joining the trades. And I think it's a good idea, but I think it takes a lot of thought, and it cannot just be a fallback for, oh, I don't want to do more school, I don't want to go to college, so I'll just join the workforce, because I've seen a lot of guys fail doing that. Oh, I couldn't cut it in school because I'm a terrible student, so instead they go and they don't work out in the workforce, and they end up doing a job they really hate, like pizzas, and there's nothing wrong doing those jobs, but that's not what they want to do. So before you just join the workforce and jump ship on high school and college, think about it. Do you like working with your hands? Can you handle waking up at 3 a.m. every morning to bring to let the dogs out before you go to work? Can you handle a shift, like second or third shift? Ask yourself all these questions. Be as prepared as you can before you make that decision. Because once you've made that decision, you've invested some time or effort in it, and you need to be ready to go. So that's all I got left to say. And I appreciate you listening to my rambling. Take care.